Well, where can I start after a day like yesterday? It has to be with Stuart Broad's non-dismissal when he clearly, not just nicked the ball to first slip Michael Clarke off Brad Haddin's gloves, but absolutely levered it. Now, this has caused all sorts of debate amongst experts, fans, press. The debate's still raging now. And what can you say after something like that? We've had two umpiring controversies on the second day involving the TV umpire Mairead Erasmus, which both went against England. Now, this one has spectacularly gone in England's favour, but should Stuart Broad have walked? He's clearly touched it. Ashton Agar went to cut, edge, Haddin's gloves to Clarke, clearly touched it. Broad would have known. Everybody on the ground knows he's touched it, apart from Aleem Dar. Now, the first thing you have to say is you have to have sympathy for a very good umpire in Aleem Dar. That mistake will haunt him. But also, you can't really have any sympathy for the Australians, or I can't. One, because they've used up both of their reviews. The second one on an LBW decision which was clearly not out. And also, they're the land of the non-walker. So why should we share their indignation when they are the country that almost promotes non-walking in cricket? But this is exactly the sort of decision that the decision review system was brought in to erase, those sort of howlers. And there is some irony that it couldn't do that. But I think common sense should have prevailed. Dar should have asked his square leg umpire, Kumar Dharmasena. He should have gone upstairs and had a quiet word with Erasmus. Surely somebody should have said to him, Aleem, you've made a big mistake there, overturn it quick. He must have realised he had by the reaction from the players. They were just so astonished. Broad kept a poker face. His acting was brilliant. I think he's got a future in acting after he gives up cricket after something like that. But Aleem Dar didn't do anything. He just stood there and shook his head, and for that you can't really have too much sympathy for him when all is said and done. The non-walking debate will rage on, but I'm afraid cricket has quite a confused sense of morals. If anything vaguely resembling ball tampering goes on, it's considered a heinous crime. Non-walking, not so. And I don't think there's a single professional involved in broadcasting who will tell you otherwise, except, funnily enough, Michael Holding, who last night on Sky said that he felt Stuart Broad should be banned for that, just as Dennis Ramdin, the West Indies wicketkeeper, was banned earlier this summer in the Champions Trophy for trying to claim a catch that never was. Who was the match referee on that occasion? Chris Broad, Stuart's dad. But you won't find any apologies from Stuart Broad for this. He's one of the biggest competitors in the England team. Some might say cheat. I wouldn't personally. I think it was audacious, certainly not to go, but there was no way at a crucial stage, a very crucial stage of this first Ashes test, that Broad was going to go if Aleem Dar was not going to give him out. After all this, we haven't even mentioned Ian Bell. What it is, one of the best innings of his life, certainly in Ashes cricket, 95 not out, England 2-6-1 ahead, and they are favourites again in this first test. Really, Australia shouldn't get this. The biggest ever score has been successfully chased at Trent Bridge is 284. If they're chasing anything resembling 300 on this pitch, this should be an England victory.